Hey, RetconRaider here. Today's video is dedicated to Alois and Ben Hollingshead. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, let's get started. And welcome back to Stygian, Reign of the Old Ones, as we continue our hunt for the Arkham Stabber, as well as a way to escape the nightmarish reality of New Arkham itself. Now, thanks to Detective Wilkins, we actually have 3 leads to follow. We've got Wajadal, the crazed tribal leader, Horatio, the reclusive magician, and Donna the Mute, an unfortunate witness to one of the murders. Though, before we get to any of that, the outsider actually wants our attention, so let's see what he has to say. You can see a hint of unrest in the creature's movements when you are near. How are you faring recently? The creature observes you with puzzled eyes. Why do you ask? We share the same journey. Isn't it a natural question to ask? Forgive me, I'm not much accustomed to the notion of sharing. He continues with a note of shyness in his unearthly voice. I am fine. Good to hear. Although the amber eyes behind the rags glint with expectation, the creature remains silent as a corpse. May I ask your name? I don't remember. I am unsure that I ever had one. But I do know one thing. Wheresoever the fates toss me, I remain the outsider. Let's talk about your knowledge of the occult. I have always been drawn to the forbidden arts, and with no mentor to guide me, I took to reading the numberless black tomes and grimoires of my castle library. For decades, I have reveled in their cryptic wisdom. I too hunger to unravel the mysteries of the occult. As of now, I am merely a disciple. Knowledge of the dark arts and the power it brings often lead to ruin. The creature shrugs lugubriously. Perhaps later. Fair enough. We'll pick this up later. Alright, let's see what Donna the Mute has to say. The girl's staring eyes shift slowly to you, but her gaze remains as barren and blank as ever. Hello? She doesn't reply. There must be a reason why this little girl is called Donna the Mute. Okay, listen carefully. We must return to a certain moment in your past. You take out your pendulum and make it sway gently, and begin to speak to the little girl in a calming but masterful tone. Be calm, Donna. You feel very relaxed. Time is slowing down now. Imagine everything getting slower and slower. Her eyes are tracking the motion of the pendulum as you speak. Although she still looks agitated, the technique is beginning to take effect. As the world slows down, your eyelids begin to grow heavy, heavier and heavier. As her eyes move in perfect synchrony with the pendulum, her eyelids twitch once, twice. She still appears slightly uncomfortable, but you're getting there. Close your eyes now. You are safe here. You are completely at ease. The little girl finally closes her eyes. All signs of anxiety have vanished. We are returning to a moment in your past, Donna. A moment when you're away from this place. A moment all by yourself. Her eyes are moving behind the lids in small, rapid jerks. The child is now completely under your influence. Something's happening, Donna. Something bad. You're scared. Donna's expression slowly changes. Her face grows pale. Her throat contracts and swallows in distress. What do you see, Donna? What's happening? As her fear rises, her small body shivers in agitation. Her lips move silently. Yes, you can do it. Speak to me, Donna. Only one word falls from her lips, a whisper filtered by the hoarseness of producing no sound for some time, yet clear enough to comprehend. Shadows. What do you mean, Donna? The child is growing anxious now. A man, he screams. Shadows follow him. They want to eat that man. Tell me more about these shadows, Donna. I can't. They carry the darkness with them. She squints as if to better see inside her memory. Do they even have faces? Where are you? Where is this happening? She answers, witnessing the murder inside her mind again. I'm away from French Hill. I just wanted to play in the ruins. The child is shaking with tears now. I don't want to be here. Stay calm, Donna. You're safe now. What do you see? The child is racked with terror. The shadows, they're stinging the man. Again and again and again. He's on his knees. He screams like that turkey Mama cut once. She covers her ears with her tiny hands. Oh! He's silent now. The shadows are stinging him and he's falling around like a silly rag doll. Everything is red. She turns her head to follow some invisible horror. The shadows are moving away from the turkey man. They're rising into the air. Donna, listen to me. This is important. Where are the shadows going? They're flying to a house. The child lets out a high-pitched cry. A haunted house! It's a haunted house! On a hill behind the water tank! I see the house now. The windows look like monster eyes. You're able to track a location on your map based on the child's account. You may have the answer. You look up from your notes as she looses an ear-piercing shriek. She trembles uncontrollably. One of them is flying here. It sees me. Oh, Mama, its eyes. No, Mama, it has stars for eyes. Its eyes are evil stars. Wake up, Donna. The girl suddenly breaks free of her trance, leaving the traumatic memory behind. Although her breathing is ragged, her eyes are staring blankly once again. She is returned to a state of partial catatonia. You poor kid. The little boy runs towards you, shouting furiously. What did you do to her, you big stupid man? What did you do to Donna? I'm sorry. She was mute all right, but it was better than her screaming. Why do you always bring us trouble? Why can't you stay away? Look, I just wanted to help. Take this for the trouble I've caused. The boy stares sullenly at the canned food. Now you want to hush me up? He cannot drag his eyes from your rations. You can all but hear his belly rumble. Yeah, I think they've earned this. The kids rapidly begin to assemble, as if it's some hidden signal. The boy snatches the cans from your hands, while the others take Donna's arm. They all disappear into their hideout like roaches running from the light. They've secured the food, and it's about to be shared. This must be a good day for them. Well, that could have probably gone better, but at least we learned something. The House of Spectres. It seems the killer, or killers, has supernatural roots. I've been told that some kind of shadow beings are committing the murders. Witnesses claim these specters withdrew to a certain house near the borderland west of Arkham. I've marked this house on my map. Is it finally time to confront them? You know what? I'm gonna say no. We've still got 2 potential witnesses, plus 1 more potential victim we haven't questioned. If we're really dealing with some sort of vengeful ghosts here, then we should probably learn everything we can before we actually confront them. Anyway, we just gave away most of our food, so let's go resupply, and then we'll move on to the next person on our list. We could probably afford another relic, but I guess we should focus on food and supplies first. Oh, hold on. House 39. Save for the choking vines on every wall, this humble residence is one of the few that remains untouched by the destruction that has engulfed Arkham. I think that's where Stanley Friedkin asked us to meet him. Yeah, number 39 Main Street. Ah, but we're on Riverside. Okay, let's sell off some loot, grab those supplies, and then we'll go pay Stanley Friedkin a visit. I would like to grab that toolbox, but I'd also like to learn that Tongue of the Dead spell. I think we need to prioritize supplies here. Oh, I think we're out of lockpicks, too. Alright, good enough. Moving on. There we go. That's the place we're looking for. Behind the crumbling balustrades of this old Georgian house, a lackluster flicker of light unexpectedly signals occupancy. The door seems to be sturdily locked for a typical building of Arkham with such decrepitness. You hear approaching footsteps, and a blunt, uneducated voice is heard from behind the door. "Who's this?" "Mr. Fredkin is expecting me." You hear the clicking of the lock, and the door creaks to let you in. "Glad to see ya. This way." "Master Stanley's waiting for you in his room, restin'." "Sure, we'll be with him in just a moment." A forgery of Geoffrey Larry Stempton's The Early Puritans of New England Going to Church, displaying a devout community heading to worship. This impressively accurate forgery of the 1835 painting by Federico Ginzburg depicts the Plymouth settlers in mass prayer following their embarkment on New England's shores. The dusky grandeur of Ephraim Dorsal's 1882 work, Perseverance, was genuinely replicated in this otherwise overambitious forgery. Well, we are slowly starving to death, so let's get back on task. Stanley has recorded anecdotes of his travels through Kingsport, Dunwich, and Innsmouth on this map, tracing the route he followed prior to his arrival in Arkham. You see Stanley sitting in the dark, looking pale and devoid of his former energy, as annoying as it was. He begins to whisper in a discomforting tone, though you can't place just what it is that's bothering you about his voice. "Welcome, sir. Thanks for coming on such short notice. Forgive my threadbare appearance. My studies have left me completely exhausted. Honestly, I ought to rest and recover. But I am so close to finding a way out. So close, it is worth testing the limits of this shell of flesh and bone." Yeah. It seems you've solved the situation with the rustic-looking man. "Oh, yes, it was a minor nuisance. He serves me well, within his rather limited ability, of course." "So, now you know how to leave this place?" "Precisely. It is past time I leave this filthy nest of apes behind me forever. But as you can see, my ill health won't allow me to complete my work. I also have serious doubts that my current assistant is resourceful enough to aid me in the last stage of the process. And this is where I come in. See what I mean? I need quick reasoning and a practical mind like yours to finish the job. Help me complete my work and you will accompany me, the only other person privileged to do so, far away from this whirlpool of primal vibrations." "How are you planning to get us out of here?" "I won't bore you with the highly technical specifics. Just know that my connections allow me to discover ways beyond the borders of man's limited science. If you knew what they've taught me about our universe." Who are these connections? You'll meet them when we're ready to leave. Don't worry. Okay, tell me what I need to do. Right to the point. I like that. A few essential parts are needed to complete my research. A long-wave radio transmitter, an electrical conductor, and some formaldehyde. These items are the last thing standing between us and infinity. Where can I find them? Unfortunately, you have to do this part on your own. My friend Richter at the drugstore would be a good place to start. Debauched he may be, but he seems to have the skills to aid us in this final phase. All right, I'll talk with Richter. Excellent. My illness dictates that I rest now. We'll talk more later, my friend. The table is covered in disorganized heaps of cables, machine gear, electronic receivers, a microphone, and an odd glass case. Leave me to my rest now. Well, I think it's fair to assume there's something very wrong with Stanley, but we'll play along for now. Not like we have much choice, anyway. Alright, on to Horatio the Magnificent. Actually, we just picked up a copy of Stanley's book. Let's have a look at that. Kingsport Folk Tales. As the only book written by the folklorist Stanley Fredkin, this collection contains several obscure folk tales from the eponymous fishing town which exists in constant, timeless isolation. The High House in the Mist by Stanley Fredkin. Nestled atop a lofty crag north of Kingsport is a quaint cottage with a gray peaked roof floating above the feathery morning mist which rises up from the ocean, as if it was a boat lost in a mystical and primeval impalpability. According to the blatherings of a hoary former sea captain, whose name is whispered amongst the reticent locals as the Terrible Old Man, that cloud-kissed hut had already been erected before the first settlers struck their camps at the base of its cliffs. The old man speaks woefully of those who dare to scale its dizzying peaks and return estranged from their once solid convictions. The stories tell of a nameless hermit who keeps that archaic abode, spinning mysterious elder tales for his visitors, who can no longer remember them after they depart his presence. But it's the much-dreaded visit of Nodens, the lord of the great abyss, and his sea-folk of tritons and nereids, that's the cause of an irretrievable change in them. As can be expected, such implausible tales are abundant with senile, drunken sailors. The old man last hears the mention of the aquatic deity when he is visited by an ordinary family man by the name of Thomas Olney, who made the ill resolve of visiting that skyward cottage, subsequently leaving his soul amidst the preternatural mists. Mention of Nodens is unsurprising, since he is a member of the Celtic pantheon, whose gods were worshipped by the ancestors of the original settlers. As for why the fear of the hut still persists amongst the townsfolk, one can attribute it to a superstitious belief that the worship of the capacious sea spirits might in time replace the authority of the Baptist Church. King's Porters know that every visitor to that weird eyrie lays bare their souls to the other gods. Once claimed, all that remains is an amorphous shade, like the soul of Thomas Olney, which vanished beyond the impenetrable whiteness of the morning mists. Fascinating. It's a little hard to follow, but that's obviously a very truncated retelling of The Strange High House in the Mists by H.P. Lovecraft, though with some added snark by Stanley Friedkin. It also seems to match up with at least some of what we've already encountered. The old man that spoke about Nodens back at the Old Eel, for example, that was almost certainly the terrible old man. As for the High House in the Mist, that might be the haunted house that Donna just told us about, which could mean that the shadowy killers are, in fact, souls lost to the mist. Hold on. Yeah, we've actually got several stories in here, including one about the terrible old man. We will want to take a look at those when we get the chance. My throat is starting to act up, so I think this is a pretty good stopping point for now. We'll pick up here next time as we have a chat with Horatio, take another look at that book, and I think it's time we learn that Tongue of the Dead spell. I'm sure Julian has some very interesting things to tell us. See you then. Oh, and remember, although I do love playing Stygian, Reign of the Old Ones, you can find out more about the game by visiting the official website, the official YouTube channel, the official Facebook page, the official Twitter feed, or the original crowdfunding campaign over on Kickstarter. Links are in the description.